So we'll just get into the heart of the subject here. And what we'll try and do in this session is see a little bit about how we shape the technology future and how we are also looking ahead a little bit perspective on how the industry itself is shaping up as a technology journey, and how SPi is not only aligning to that journey, but driving that journey forward in terms of trying to disrupt the market and coming up with innovation and cutting-edge solutions.
Every moment, everywhere in the world, a question is being asked.
How to be smart, practical, ingenious.
We want to see savings, performance increases.
What's happening in sports, politics, infotainment?
Is there a better way to be seamless, personalized, interactive?
How to become sophisticated, profound, intriguing.
How to grow steadily, predictably, immediately.
How to generate data that's sharp, precise, intuitive.
Where to look for symptoms, proofs, indicators.
How can we measure sufficiency, progress, impact?
Building the technology that finds the answers. That's our thing. SPi Global brings value to your business by getting you the information you need when you need it, in the way you want to use it. We empower content through technology. Science, process, imagination, skill, passion, industry, solutions, people, innovation. SPi Global.
Okay, so let's get into the heart of the subject here and look at our technology and content journey, because both go hand in hand and how they interact and play in shaping technology for the future. So let's start with an open question, probably to wake up everyone and shake. So what do we think as content, right? And who are our content partners traditionally? So we see here the traditional content partners being books, journals, newspaper. And as Richard introduced, this is where traditionally SPi has been working in this domain, with strong expertise in publishing, science, journals, books. We have logos like Wiley, which is a big client of ours. Pearson for the education sector is a huge client here. And we have other types of clients in the traditional journals and books business. Now, this is a huge content area. Can we also think now of content as being other than just books, journals, or the traditional content? And this is the new way of content, which is we see Bloomberg terminals, we see mobile apps, we see Waze, a lot of financial data coming in. And what is interesting here is that these content players within this content domain are actually leading technology companies. We have, and these technology companies are disrupting the market, the likes of Google, the likes of IBM, and we saw in the intro slide, the likes of Waze, who have completely shaped differently the market dynamics. And interestingly, SPi plays an interesting role because it is playing at both spectrums of this chain, where we have a strong foothold on the traditional content side, and we have companies we work with on the emerging or the technology content side of the spectrum. And that can lead to what we think is our vision to shape the technology. So we see ourselves as technology solutions that make information accessible, adaptable, and actionable. So accessible to the end consumer in any form, that is content and information, accessible to the end consumer for his own use case. It could be researchers, it could be financial data analyst, it could be a scientific research of what a book needs to be published, with which publisher or where. Adaptable to the format that is required, mobile devices, iPad, web, even paper today as yet is a strong format. So really adaptable to the format required. And finally, actionable. So you can make decisions on this information. You can take a little like Waze or Ubers, where you are making decision based on traffic, of network, congestion. And this is exactly what we are doing with content, powering that through technology so that better decisions are made in the researchers area, scientific researchers area, in the education sector on courses, in the pharmaceutical sector on drug discovery. And we'll see some of these products and tools as we get along. So just before we dive in, some quick facts, which was already, I think, put on the screen. The #1 provider of content technology solutions, 12,000 odd FTEs, over 12 cities and 6 countries, really spanning the globe here. Strategic partner with leading publishers and information providers. A lot of big work we do for legal as well. And custom tools for extraction, ingestion, really technology-driven tools that we built in-house, all proprietary to SPi. And we'll look at some of these as we get along the journey. So we see ourselves as the shaping of technology for SPi, we see on 3 pillars. The first and foremost is efficiency. And what we do here in terms of efficiency is really bring operational efficiency into our systems. And that is driving automation forward for operations so that we can reduce human touch, save cost, drive time to market and speed to market, because that is what is the market demand now. We want faster journals, faster books released. Something that was taking about 3 months is now expected to be delivered in 10 days. So really driving those product innovations within the company. And what we believe here is that we can actually get our products to the market if internally those products are sound, efficient, automated, and have tested the width and the breadth of the data that we pass through. The second pillar here is revenue. And revenue, that means we do a lot of work for our clients in terms of developing technology products. A lot of work on the mobile web front with huge education partners, where we also partner, and we'll see, with some of the other authoring platforms, where we actually do mobile development, web development, customized client services in the technology front that we provide to our partners. We also do a huge amount of database engineering work to ingest data, to extract and ingest data into customer sites. I don't know if you've heard likes of LexisNexis, which is a big client of ours in the legal space. So these are all revenue enabling technologies that we have deployed and are continuing to do that. And the third part, probably the most interesting and exciting part, and one of the reasons why I've come to Philippines probably, is really what we are doing is trying to shape the technology journey and future in terms of AI, machine learning, virtual reality, and how we can take those leaps as the industry shapes in its technology journey towards what I can call which is the cognitive era or the augmented era. So the way we have looked at our entire domain is in 4 functions. The first D is domain. This is actually a huge number of SME experts into chemistry, pharma, law, who actually understand the subject matter, the content, the structure, the business case. And without this domain expertise, with the whole raft of data that is getting into our space and the amount of data we are consuming, it is impossible almost to get to what we want in the future is in terms of technology company of machine learning without having subject matter expertise. Because finally, these tools and technologies you'll have to develop and deploy in a professional, contextual environment. So that's where we believe that this is the very heart of our working as we get and shape that journey. The second part, and we know, and everybody is actually grappling with the data. We have huge amount of data analysts who actually mine data, understand data, look at data. And I mean, I'm sure all of you are aware of the volume of data that is now rifting through the entire web or through any platform. I mean, it seems I've just read somewhere that like the last 2 years, the amount of data that we consumed or was transacted as information is bigger than what the whole of human race had consumed over like time. So, and that speed is just becoming incremental and exponential. So this is a very key sector for us, especially as we deal with content, to be able to mine data, analyze data with the help of the specialists and the SMEs and the technologists. The next part is design, which is a lot of work which we touched upon, creative design, UI design, sophisticated UI UX design. And this is a very, very important aspect as we get into the future. I mean, everybody now is dealing with iPads and iPhones and all the tablets. I mean, I was just, this morning I was just like sitting on the breakfast table with my son, and he's just 3 years old. And he can almost like just speak about a few words. And he's saying, Daddy, a code. So he wants the iPad code to be able to like open his iPad. And then he just scrolls and sees the video that he wants. This is the kind of generation Y or the millennials we are dealing with, where without having that UI UX experience, they are not satisfied with just a basic experience, right? And in the education sector, for example, for our professional education sector, we do a lot of work for schooling, and it's very, very important for us to design that UI UX for school students and college students who are actually the millennials here. So this is a huge work and in our area. And all of this is centered around our products and tools, and the heart of it is development. So before we get into, we'll just see a couple of products on the 3 sectors or the 3 pillars that I talked about: efficiency, the revenue enabling technologies, and finally, some of the work that we have done around machine learning and artificial intelligence. This is a very interesting project where we have actually redesigned the entire workflow. So initially, the workflow was every operator, different operators are doing different tasks. And we have actually merged those tasks, brought about a change in the organization setup and the operational setup so that one person can perform multiple tasks. And this can only work if we actually automate all of these tasks to an highly optimal level. This just doesn't work if you are remaining in your area of about 50% automation. This is really has to kick off at 90+% of automation. And also, the entire workload management is driven through analytics. So we distribute tasks according to data analytics on people, profile, and the work that is there. And this is a highly automated environment that we have built. This is an SPi proprietary, thought designed, built solution. We can just, yeah. So what we have seen is that we've brought the entire previously set up into one workspace, condensed workspace on somebody's environment. So the operator just looks at this. From here, the operator can visually see what is happening. And there are multiple tabs happening, so multiple tasks are happening simultaneously. All that is automated goes into the background. All that is actually needs to be checked by the operator today, the little amount comes back to the operator where the operator can touch point and then push it back. So this is really a working environment where and the operator can trace and track the progress of the workflow. Or this is designed for like books and journals business of ours, right? Which has been rolled out to huge majority of the volume of books and journals. We have actually retrained a lot of the operators, about 100 plus operators in this environment and setup. And as we look at this, this is an important dynamics that we see also in the industry. That is, it is not only important to develop new and good technology, but as well deploy that technology into the operational setup. And as we deploy, the company or the operations will go through a transformation, which is really about aligning the technology and the operational setup to be geared for the future technology. So this is the QC that is happening, and then we upload it directly onto the website. I think we can go to the next. Yeah. So this is a work that we do on what we call content extraction, ingestion, and intelligence on what we have a huge volume of data here of millions and millions of pages where we actually get various formats of data, which could be PDF, scanned copy. There's a huge amount of archival books and journals which needs to be digitized, huge amount. And that data, again, is a very important element to joining up with the new data and the new content, right? Because otherwise you're losing the history of the information. There's a little like financial sector, you need to know the historical trend to be able to understand the future trends. So what we do is here we have actually built an in-house conversion solution and a suite of tools around to be able to extract content, mine that content, and ingest back into client websites with huge volumes of format with very fast turnaround time. And what we have now started doing is introduce machine learning into this process. So these, instead of the operator extracting or the touch points of the operator, are automated by the machine learning the process of the content and how those are extracted. So this is, again, a huge amount of work done out of actually US. A lot of that work is done out of US, where for schools, here you can see like the tuna fish, and previously this would be a hard copy, somebody reading on his book, and this is an interactive copy here where you can actually see the fish interacting, and people can play around with this. So it is giving you information in a very interactive way. So we partner with a lot of strategic authoring platforms we have worked with and we have partnered with. Huge work for the likes of Pearson, McGraw-Hill that we do in this sector. And this is all about what we were talking about, Revenue Enabler, our digital and mobile content development platforms. This has been a huge success and revenue enabler for us. Just before we dive into this last sector, which is disruptor and machine learning and the AI side of things, here what we see is, again, there are two layers that are interplaying each other. One is the technology layer, where we are deploying machine learning, artificial intelligence, and shaping the future of the company. The second is, as we showed, is the subject matter expertise layer, which is the important part is when we develop a machine learning or you train a machine learner, it is absolutely important in this journey, because we think this is the beginning of the journey, that the subject matter expert actually gives an input, validates that data, and understands that data and how to put it into the machine learner. And this is a very important dynamics as we move forward into the era. And on the left-hand side, we have some logos that we have worked with. This could be music, pharma sector, financial sector. We work with a lot of hedge funds that are driving that company. Chemistry is a huge part. for our business. Legal, which I mentioned, is a huge amount of data that we process. Can go to the next. So, yeah. So I mean, I was just thinking of, when I think of AI, I just think about this journey where Kasparov loses to IBM's Deep Blue, and this is like the moment that we thought in 1997 that technology had cracked the world and it could just leap forward and leap bound, right? And 10 years later, it took 10 years for Google's AlphaGo to beat the champion. And it seems that Google, I've played a lot of chess, but I'm not very familiar with this game Go. But it seems it has more possible moves than atoms in the universe. So this is really a breakthrough in technology that is showing us that it is the beginning where machines are able to crack codes with a lot of permutation and combinations. So the way we see this, and in our domain especially, we deal with not only numerical values, but we deal a lot with unstructured data, as we call, because we get content from books, journals, news, websites. So this data is not formatted, normalized, like in the classic traditional way of the databases, right? And for this, it is important to be able to understand how we mine the data, extract that data, and the business rules that play around the data. So the way we see the architecture going forward and the future is we have at the one spectrum on the top, we have content management, and this could be content operations into any sector. We have customer service, a huge area where that is starting to grow and is making headways into the business. And we have marketing engagements, and you've seen marketing engagements already coming through, like Facebooks and all the websites where inbound marketing is a big trend here. So these are our top 3 kind of markets that have a lot of influence in the technology that we are going to shape for the future. On the bottom side, what we have is at the core machine learning engines and suites of engines that can work through that process of big data. And we see the content space into 2 areas. One is text kind of content, which is emails and books, journals, or any data that we are getting as feeds, written data that we are getting as feeds. And the right-hand side here is the rich media. So anything that is video, image, voice, those are the other 2 domains of content, and both are powered by analytics. And finally, at this early stage, at least I think this will last for some time, there will be a business rules layer over that analytics that will define and give value to the customer on its specific needs. So you can build architecture and frameworks, but there will be something that is specifically designed for the client. That amount of bespoke will remain. And here we're talking really about professional content. So these are some of the interesting work that we have done around machine learning and AI. So this is a pure journals or books article. Here, through the machine learner, today previously the operator actually goes and scans this entire article, extracts manually concepts, and these are like PDFs, right? So you can't even actually, these are maybe some of them are searchable, but you can't actually do a control, find, replace, and all that, right? So they extract this content. Today we have a machine learning engine which automatically scans this, gets poured into the engine, and we have trained the corpus to be able to extract concepts. And these are concepts, a very professional kind of concepts. So this is association between drug and disease, for example. Association between law and law cases, right? So this is a very niche kind of content into the professional sector, where the machine learner has been trained to extract these contents. We can see the second part. Yeah, this is a very interesting project. So what we have is once we productionize, or just before we submit books and journals, what we have is operators and essentially what you call proofreaders reading the book to make sure that the quality of the book is of a good quality. There are no errors. There are no styling errors also on the book. And what we have deployed here is what we call robo-reader, which is actually machine learner, which reads the books and evaluates the errors and highlights the errors in terms of percentages of probability. So it's a very probabilistic approaches, but it highlights where it finds, and it can associate back to the exact place where it has found these errors. So the operator doesn't have to scan a 150-page book now to find one error or 2 errors or 10 errors. The machine learner finds those errors and highlights in a probabilistic way. And this is purely, what we have done is we have taken the errors and we have poured into the machine learner and purely trained the model to be able to highlight this kind of errors. This is a very, very successful project and recognized a lot from our clients, our top publishers, and they want to partner with us on this to deploy the solution. So this is a huge cost efficiency we have achieved, through reducing manual and human effort and error-prone work driving through and machine learners. Yeah, this is probably a very exciting project, and I was deeply involved into this. This is actually where today you have customer service, and usually in customer service you have a form and you fill up a satisfaction form, which you say you are happy or not happy. And as we have all experienced, in all probability, we all fill up a form when we are not happy, and the people who fill up a form are usually a very small percentage to the entire population that is actually interacting with your portal, right, or the system. So we have actually thought about this and designed a mechanism by what we do is we read this is for like author customer service. So we read the interaction of the email between the author and the customer service team. We mine the text of that email. We kind of clean up the text, take the core part of the email, and we put into a sentiment tone analyzer to measure whether the author is satisfied or dissatisfied. And the idea of this is to be able to measure trend into a customer service domain, to say this is a region of highest dissatisfaction, this is the kind of profiles that have highest dissatisfaction, and then this becomes a predictive model for you to be much more proactive in your work and be engaged to say we need to rectify these behaviors so that our customer service improves. And here we have just seen that the model has actually shown a very strong correlation. The inbuilt sentiment model has shown an extremely good correlation between the CSAT and the DSAT, the formed field. So we have confidence that this model is actually working to represent customer behavior. So just before we kind of close this, so we have seen the 3 segments of work: efficiency, revenue enabler, and the disruptive era of technology that we have deployed. The last part of this is really to have, think about how we shape and rethink our organization as we get into this technology journey. And we have on one side, very smart fintech companies or technology, startups that are small niche companies, about 12 people, 20 people. The other side, you've got a big spectrum of IBMs and machines who are trying to get to that journey. And SPi Global is somewhat kind of in the middle. It has a past of being strong content player in the traditional content domain. It has a lot of domain expertise on the futuristic content. And how do we shape a company of the size of SPi across so many locations, changing the DNA to be able to drive the technology journey forward, right? And what we think are 4 kind of key points to shape an organization and change the DNA of the organization. So we see as being embracing change. The real factor here is to be able to really drive change forward, not only at the senior leadership level, but also at the ground level of the organization, right? And to understand that technology plays this pivotal role and work hand in hand with SME, which we saw, and technologists to be able to drive this cultural change forward. And recognizing that this is really a pivotal journey that technology is going through as it's shaping for the future, and it's a beginning of a journey. The second pillar is what we say is a data mindset. With a raft of information and data that is flowing into our systems here, it is absolutely critical that, and I think all of us are becoming data mindset. If you look at your mobile today, if you look at how you look at information today, that data mindset approach is already there. But this is really rolling that out culturally into the organization, that everybody is data aware and making decisions based on data and information rather than perceptive decision. Right? The third part of this is really what we think is man-machine augmentation. I don't think we are today in a journey, and I do hear some news, in the sector in Philippines, is a big BPO sector, but I don't think today we are at a place where completely human effort will be reduced or human effort will disappear and machine and robots will take over the world and robots will be marching in the office, right? I don't think we are here. I think this is the beginning of a journey here. There's a lot of work to be done. And for that, I think the age, what I see is really what I call an augmentation age, where man and machine collaborates together, that as the machine, as they say, machine learner, as the machine learns from man, it is also important that human learn how machine behaves and collaborate together to drive efficiency and success in a company. So we see this being a very much hand-in-hand work, at least for the few coming years, into this journey. And the last one is really shaping the company for an entrepreneurial approach. Flexible, dynamic. There is a lot of volatility in the market, a lot of startup, a lot of tech companies coming up. So having that approach across the organization, and driving cultural change across the organization is absolutely key. That just reminds me, there's a very interesting thing we did last year in our company. So to drive this kind of culture, what we did is we launched what we call an Infinity Award, which was essentially, and this is really grounds up, is take ideas from grounds up from everyone. Just launched a whole idea session with everybody throughout months, and I think we did that over 3 months. We collected information really ground up, and then there was a panel who would evaluate the ideas. And the top ideas then, obviously would get awards, but would be showcased at our leadership summit at the end of the year. I think SPi is very well known for its leadership summit in the Philippines. So, and this is very interesting because what we saw here, the Robo Reader, is actually come out from the Infinity Award. It was one of the winners of that Infinity Award. So this is how, this is one of the ways that we have thought about shaping the company, where we get, brave of entrepreneurial ideas. We have another idea which came up on genomatics, big data genomatics, how genome sequencing can be solved with computer machine learning problems. So these are the top 2 ideas. And behind that, investors actually back these ideas. It really goes up to the investor board, and they back this idea, reserve money and funding for these ideas. So this is how we are thinking of shaping our company and culture through this entrepreneurial approach. And this, I think, is one of the driving behaviors as we leap forward into this technology journey. I think that's the end. Thank you for your time.